I added it up once and I was rejected 250 times for those 10 books in 8 years. It was like, I don't know, 250, 252, something like that. I literally had an entire box, banker's box size, of rejections. When I first started writing, it was before email even existed. And yes, I am a dinosaur. So I would get a typewritten letter that would come from whatever publisher I had submitted my manuscript to with all of the hope in the world. Most of the time they would say something vague like, "This is not right for us," which doesn't help me at all. I have no idea what right would be for them. Sometimes they would tell me that the characters didn't come alive, or that there wasn't enough conflict on the page, or the book felt flat. And that at least gave me a place to start to kind of try to figure out what was wrong. But yeah, a lot of rejections meant for a lot of discouragement and a lot of days when I just thought, what am I doing here? You can actually see my quitting video here where I talk about the day that I threw it all away and gave up, because it is hard to get rejected over and over again. It is hard to get a 1-star review. It is hard to have your critique partner say, "Oh, that's not really working for me." So why was I rejected 250 plus times? Number one, the editors and agents were right. My characters were flat and boring and didn't come alive on the page. In fact, my characters were terrible. A lot of them were just stereotypes of like the alpha male and the helpless female, because I was writing way back in the day when that was a popular thing. And I didn't even like my characters. Secondly, my dialogue was so stilted and boring, and it didn't do anything on the page. It was a lot of small talk, which personally in real life, I hate small talk. And so it wasn't moving the plot forward. And then I had overly simplistic plots. They were super easy to figure out and solve because, you know what? That's also super easy to write. So I could keep churning out these books that kept getting rejected because I wasn't trying hard enough. I didn't know what to try hard enough on, to be honest. You may be in the same boat and you're probably wondering, how did I figure that out? Well, the first thing I did was I took a couple of classes. I had an English degree that taught me absolutely zero about writing commercial fiction. I took some commercial fiction classes. I joined an organization that had an annual conference so that I could go to workshops there, and I started learning everything I could. I bought some books on how to write, and I really started studying those. But the thing that really took me from where I was to where I wanted to be was to get a critique partner who was really honest with me. She was another writer who was really struggling to sell her first book as well. And we both kind of didn't know what we were doing, but we knew how to point out what was wrong in the other's work, and we were kind about it. And we would trade pages every single week. That did two things for me. One, it made me show up with something every single week. So even when I was discouraged and I had yet another rejection letter, I would have that meeting with her and I would have to have some pages. And I'm the kind of person that I don't want to show up empty-handed. So I would have some pages written, sometimes begrudgingly, because I really wasn't having fun at a certain point in this. And she would show up with her pages and we would talk, and I would get excited about the book again because I could start to see what she was seeing wrong. Didn't know how to necessarily fix it, but it gave me a point of starting. And each manuscript that I wrote got better and better. So I wrote 10 books in 8 years. Each one progressively got better. The one that ultimately sold was book number 8 after I did a massive revision to it. I had an editor that said, "You wrote this deep, dark, angsty book and you're actually a romantic comedy writer. Can you turn it into a romantic comedy?" And I'll look at it again. And I don't know if you've ever tried to turn a really dramatic book into a romantic comedy. It's not an easy task. I basically threw the whole book out and started over again because it was a totally different approach for the book. But it ended up launching my career, and I went on to win Best Romance of the Year. And so that told me, I think I'm starting to know what I'm doing. I didn't entirely. I was still learning with every book that I wrote and published, but I had finally kind of gotten a grasp on what my weaknesses were. My weaknesses were creating characters that were likable and relatable. So I had to start from character first. Who were these people? I had to dig a little deeper, not into their eye color and their astrological sign, because none of that mattered to me. What mattered to me was what was going on in here. What had they been through as children or young adults or even in their adult life that had created this scarred, flawed human being on the page? And how was that going to affect how they reacted to what happened in the plot? Then I started working a lot harder on my plots. I read Deborah Dixon's GMC and I went to a workshop with her, and it was an eye-opening workshop. All of a sudden, I had like a roadmap for how a book went together. It's a great book. It's out of print as far as I know, but if you can get a copy of it on eBay or wherever, it really does just take a plot and break it down into simple structure. And it is the basis of everything I have done since. And the whole way that I teach is from that plot structure of goal, motivation, and conflict. No matter how many acts you put into your book or how many plot twists you put in, there is still an overarching goal, motivation, and conflict. So it is a great place to start from with a plot. Then I started to learn how to pick stronger words. write stronger sentences, write stronger paragraphs, write more emotional scenes. Every single thing that I did was a little baby step towards getting better. And the rejections started tapering off. Didn't stop entirely. And even after all of that, I would submit proposals and my editor would be like, I don't think that really works. Can you give us something else? Like I had some proposal tree in my backyard and I could just grow another one really quickly. So just because you sell that first book or just because you have big success doesn't mean that everything you write is perfect. There's still a lot to learn. And I decided at a certain point to look at that learning process as an opportunity for growth and a challenge to myself to be better. It's so easy to be discouraged. It is so easy to quit. When I looked at that box of rejection letters, every time I put another one in the box, it got easier and easier to quit, frankly, because it seemed like everybody in the entire world was telling me I couldn't write. I've said this before, but the truth is you only fail if you quit. You don't fail because you got a rejection letter. You don't fail because the agent of your dreams turned you down. You don't fail because you got a 1-star review. You fail if you quit. So write the book and know that you absolutely have all the tools at your fingertips between this channel and how-to books and a million other resources that are now available that weren't available when I started out to help you learn how to write an amazing book. My whole purpose with this channel is to hopefully keep you from 250 rejections and 10 books in 8 years before you get your first great one. I want to speed up the process for you all a little bit more. So please share what you're struggling with and what you need to know, or fill out the Google form linked in the description below and get feedback on my next live stream. So don't forget to like and subscribe and stick with me, and I will teach you everything you need to know about how to write an amazing book. And if you want to see how crappy those first books were, come check out this video here. And please do laugh at the terrible way I wrote, because that was where I started, and this is where I got to, and you can too.